he's not the only big signing. We called Carlos Correa. She called Carlos Correa to the Giants, and I said immediately following that, Dansby will go right after Correa goes. Yeah. And that is exactly what happened. Dansby Swanson has signed with the Chicago Cubs, 7 years, $177 million. I love this.
Yeah.
I really do like this move, and I'll talk all about why I like it for the Cubs specifically, but we have to play what I said last week as well. After you said Correa to the Giants, have a listen to what I said about Dansby Swanson.
Okay.
If I had to predict, if it's not Atlanta,
yeah,
I don't know, Chicago, the Cubs.
I mean, we were on one.
We were on one. And it's been impressive. And this is where I changed, because this did get interesting and it ended up playing true. I believed Dansby was going to sign back with the Atlanta Braves. And I think it fairly quickly in free agency, within a month, we kind of felt like this was a Freddie Freeman type situation. Mm-hmm. The Braves weren't really reaching out. There weren't really serious talks. And it kind of had a feeling of, okay, I don't know if he will re-sign there. But I went down to the winter meetings and had multiple conversations, as I mentioned on this show, and said, my big takeaway here, one of them is that I don't think Dansby's going back to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to the Cubs. And the reasonings were because, one, the Cubs needed a shortstop and are looking for somebody to build around. But his now new wife, I think they're currently on their honeymoon.
They're on their honeymoon.
Plays soccer in Chicago, and she's a stud and a star there. They can just own the city of Chicago. Dansby Swanson and Mallory Pugh will be kings and queens in Chicago because they're at the top of their sport on the big teams there. You got the Chicago Cubs and the soccer team there. So good for them. I love it.
I got to say, it is so rare for a professional athlete, let alone two professional athletes who are now married, to be able to live and play and stay in the same city. What that is going to do, not only for their mental health, but their game, to be able to be with the person you love, is so special. And if you have the opportunity to do it, you have to think that's going to be a main reason that you're going to go to a city and go to a team.
Yeah, I feel like looking back in hindsight, and that's the reason, that is one of the big reasons I ended up saying Dansby to the Cubs. But looking back on it, it was like slapping us in the face. That's a big deal that they're able to do that together. And if the Braves weren't going to come in and swoop him off his feet again and make him their shortstop, where I think he wanted to be his entire career, it's just not how it worked out, then this feels like the place it was always going to be, wherever his now wife was playing. But good for him. Good for the Cubs. I really do like this for the Cubs. 7 years, $177 million. Now, again, I'm not saying the Cubs are going to be winners of the NL Central this year, but I really like it because they're building up the middle, which is so important in baseball, and they will have the best defense in baseball up the middle of probably anybody. You look at Dansby at shortstop. Nico Horner will be at second base, who is a Gold Glove finalist a couple of years ago. Cody Bellinger coming over from the Dodgers in center. Say what you want about where his offense is at. His defense is elite. But speaking of say what you want about his offense, you're paying him not like MVP Cody Bellinger. So if you can get anything remotely close to what you got for a couple of years there with Cody, maybe Cody needed out of LA.
Yeah.
Maybe he needed a change of scenery. Maybe he needed to be on a team for a little while that he wasn't expected to produce at such a high level. Now he can just kind of be on a team that the expectations aren't super high and maybe figure it out a little bit. But if he does, look, the pitching staff leaves a little to be a little,
where they need some help.
Yeah, you need some help. I like where the Cubs are at. I like the moves that they have made, and I like where they're at for the future. And I've been very critical of the Cubs and what they did with that core of Bryant, Rizzo, Contreras. Am I missing anybody? Javi Baez.
Yeah.
But I do like what they are starting to do, and it's building up the middle, and I'm not fully in their corner yet, but this was a good start.
Now, what a year. I got to say, what a week for the Swansons here. Married, honeymoon, $177 million for 7 years, living in the same city as your wife. Now, let me just remind, or if you didn't know, the Braves only offered him $100 million for 6 years.
That's a slap in the face.
It doesn't even compare. Yeah. $100 million for 6 to $177 for 7. That's a no-brainer. On top of it, I get to live in the same city as my wife.
I'd move to Timbuktu for $77 extra million.
It's like,
I mean,
that's tough. That's saying a lot for what Atlanta is doing, especially with your homegrown guys.
Absolutely. So Dansby, no longer on the Braves.
Nope.
Dansby is
Bye.
a Chicago Cub and signed for a lot of money. Good for him.
Thanks for watching. If you love Flippin Bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.